These scenes wouldn't even cut it on the 60s Batman show.
Allow me to break the ice. My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 cringeworthy moments from superhero movies.
This room has been pacified.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at moments in the world of comic book movies that left us wondering how the directors could possibly think they were a good idea. We're ranking the scenes exclusively on how much they made us squirm with embarrassment.
Let's go for it, Mr. Macho.
Number 10. Nick Cage loses it. Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
John!
You don't care again.
It's a film about a pyrotechnic skeleton that rides around on a motorcycle, yet Nicolas Cage still finds a way to be the weirdest thing in it. In this particular scene, Cage's Johnny Blaze pins a guy up against a wall and tries to make him talk.
You're a bad man. And this thing, the writer, he feeds on Batman and he's hungry.
What follows is one of the most over-the-top performances in the history of Nick Cage overacting, which is saying something, as he struggles to contain his mad shaking and the sheer volume of his voice.
Scraping at the door! Scraping at the door!
For some, it's Cage at his absolute best, but for the rest of us, it's the standout scene in one of Marvel's most embarrassing movies.
You tell me I would eat just think it so!
Number 9. The Seduction scene. Howard the Duck.
I've got to get back to my own kind. Although...
You can't think of the Howard the Duck movie without physically cringing. And this scene, which features Leah Thompson actually coming on to Howard, is one of the biggest reasons why.
Just can't seem to find the right man.
Maybe it's not a man you should be looking for.
You think I might find happiness in the animal kingdom, Ducky?
When Howard reciprocates the gesture as the pair get under the covers to watch David Letterman, Thompson's character seems confused, despite the fact that she tempted him into bed in the first place.
I just can't resist your intense animal magnetism.
It's a scene made up of cheesy performances, embarrassing dialogue, and strange character choices, and it tries to be way too serious for a film about a talking, cigar-smoking duck.
Come on, Howard, I was just kidding. Night.
Number 8. The bar scene, Suicide Squad.
Casey, it's the end of the world. Have a drink with us.
Ironically, the bar scene was one of the highlights in the previews for Suicide Squad, which got us all excited for the DC flick. Unfortunately, the film's theatrical release botched some of the best moments in the trailers. The theatrical version notably cuts out Harley Quinn taking drink orders from the rest of the crew, including her suggestion of El Diablo's water order as a good idea, honey.
How about you, hot stuff?
Water.
That's a good idea, honey.
Instead, we're forced to sit through some forced exposition and backstory. This scene not only lacks any fun or imagination, it also feels like a pointless detour that comes out of nowhere. Suicide Squad is often described as a mess, and this unfocused, not to mention uncomfortable scene perfectly demonstrates why.
What do you think was gonna happen, huh?
Number 7. I Am the Law. Judge Dredd.
Holy crud! He's a sitting duck out there!
He knows what he's doing.
Sylvester Stallone delivers Judge Dredd's catchphrase multiple times throughout this movie, and each time it's met with a chorus of disapproving sighs from fans of the Dredd comic books. However, his first I Am the Law speech is by far the most cringe-inducing. Stallone steps off his motorcycle during a siege and yells the famous quote completely inaudibly and without context.
I am the law! Drop your weapon!
In fact, he seems to stop to draw breath in the middle of every sentence, and what's supposed to be an impressive speech instead has you leaning closer to the screen in a struggle to make out the words.
This is your final order!
Number 6. The Martha Fiasco. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice.
You were never a god. You were never even a man.
Batman v Superman pulled off a disappointing performance, both critically and financially. But its most embarrassing moment comes at the end of the titular fight, when the Dark Knight stands over the defeated Man of Steel holding a kryptonite spear.
You're letting him kill Martha!
Despite his earlier attempts to reason with him, Superman's desperate cry of "Save Martha!" is what causes Batman to lower the spear.
Why did you say that name?
So let's get this straight. After nearly killing each other, these two rivals immediately become best buds simply because their mothers share the same name? Well, it only took 2 movies, but the DC Extended Universe has already jumped the shark.
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name! It's his mother's name.
Number 5, throwing the S, Superman 2.
So morbid. A sentimental replica of a planet long since vanished.
Superman 2 is considered one of the best Superman movies, as Clark's battle with General Zod leads to a dramatic showdown in the Fortress of Solitude.
I expect better manners from my guest, Zod.
The build-up to the fight has you on a knife edge, but the movie immediately takes you out of it, as Superman draws a sheet of plastic from the emblem on his chest. As if that weren't cringeworthy enough, he then proceeds to throw it over one of Zod's charging minions, enveloping him in plastic and leaving him almost as stunned as we are. We're pretty sure that specific move didn't come from the comics. At least we hope it didn't. Number 4, the playground scene, Daredevil.
I don't like being followed, so don't.
Daredevil and Elektra's playground sparring match is wrong on so many levels. The choreography is cheesy before the fight even starts, as the pair throws their jackets aside at exactly the same time. Matt then performs a throw and catch maneuver with his cane that even a man with perfect vision could never pull off. Speaking of which, why doesn't anyone care that a woman is fighting a blind man?
You're holding back.
Yes.
Stop.
A bunch of kids even cheer on the fight as Matt gets knocked down. Instead of cheering, they should be laughing at the obvious wire work and the slowed down seesaw choreography.
My name's Electra Nachios.
Thanks. That's all I wanted to know.
Number 3, the Bat Credit Card, Batman and Robin.
I bid $50,000 for Poison Ivy.
We'll give Batman and Robin credit where credit is due. It is remarkable how many things it got so wrong in one brief scene. The fact that Batman and his sidekick are locked in a bidding war for Poison Ivy's affections is already twisted, as is the idea that George Clooney's Dark Knight bids as high as $7 million. What really puts the icing on the cringe cake, however, is when Batman pulls a Bat credit card from his utility belt, accompanied by a classic cha-ching.
$7 million.
The scene alone nearly killed the Batman franchise, not to mention the superhero genre as a whole.
You two boys aren't gonna start fighting over little old me now, are you?
Number 2, Emo Peter Parker, Spider-Man 3.
You got any more nuts?
I have some nuts. I could make some.
Go make me some.
It clearly wasn't enough that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 was already cluttered with too many villains. The director just had to add in a couple of unwatchable dance scenes for good measure. You'd think being possessed by a symbiote might turn Peter Parker evil. Instead, he turns into a below-average dancer, strutting through the streets of Manhattan without a care in the world. The last straw is the infamous jazz club scene, where the new and definitely not improved Peter shows off his moves to Gwen Stacy, and we're pretty sure she was cringing on the inside.
Thanks.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions.
Guy really knows how to loosen up.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
Number 1, the basketball scene, Catwoman.
One-on-one?
Who? Me and her?
Halle Berry's attempt at Catwoman is the ultimate cringe fest. It's hard to forget the horrible CGI of the bank robbery scene, and then you remember the basketball scene that happens in this movie, and everything else seems like small potatoes. If you stretch your mind hard enough, you can see the logic behind the scene. It's a real-life situation that shows off Catwoman's powers. But the thing is, you don't see any powers, as the claustrophobic close-ups of Halle Berry's forced grin take center stage. Add in Mystique's Scandalous, and you've got an overly sexualized scene that doesn't belong in any movie, let alone a superhero flick.
Can we have our ball back?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.